Hey everyone, this is Drishyam from Bibliomaniac Cinephile, and today we're going to be talking about the movie Drishyam 2. I know it's been quite some time since we've made a video, and I know that we've been annoying you viewers with our inconsistency, but trust me, this is going to be worth it because Drishyam 2 is the most awaited, or was the most awaited Malayalam movie, which is or for that matter, I would say a most awaited South Indian movie for this year, which is of the genre crime, drama slash thriller. Now I know that a lot of you guys might be waiting to kill me if I mess this up. And I know that I already am messing this up because I'm so excited to talk about this movie because this movie stars Mohanlal. And Mohanlal, from my perspective, is probably one of the best or finest natural actors that our country has ever produced. And I feel like Mohanlal is one of his best works. If I had to jot down, the top two would be, the very first one would be Vanaprastham, which is a Malayalam movie, which is a 1999 Malayalam movie. And the second one would be Iruvar, which was directed by Mani Ratnam, and it's a 1996 movie, I guess. And in these two movies, I have seen Mohanlal literally transform or soak into the character so much so that you really can't tell apart as to if he's Mohanlal or if he is literally the character that he's playing. Right? That's how good he is. And in this movie, Drishyam, on the other hand, I feel like Mohanlal doesn't do much. He just sits down, he relaxes, and I mean, it's a very intense movie. I'm not taking it away from him. I'm just saying that Mohanlal knows what's necessary for that particular role. He doesn't have to throw in a lot of nuances. He just has these small, tiny idiosyncrasies that makes it an amazing performance, right? Now, Drishyam 2 is a movie which was directed, which was directed and written by Jeethu Joseph, and Jeethu Joseph is also the director who directed Papanasan, which is a remake of Drishyam in Tamil. And I know that this is going to annoy you viewers a lot, because I did not watch Drishyam 1 actually. I have watched Papanasan, and I've just watched a few bits and clips of Drishyam 1, and I can pretty much say that they're pretty much the same movie. But when I had to compare these two movies, when I saw the climax scene, which has been pretty much compared every now and then, and I feel like Mohanlal, being a revered actor, he's preferred over Kamal Haasan for this particular climax. And the reason being that in Drishyam 1, when the movie ends and when the parents come and ask George Kuti, which is Mohanlal's character, about the whereabouts of their son, he doesn't really hesitate to say that he was the one who committed the crime of killing their son, and he doesn't really reveal what he has done with his remains or with his body. And he has a tiny amount of tear coming out of, a tad bit of tear coming out of his eyes, which shows that yes, he is feeling guilty, but he is also kind of justifying his act because he did it for his family and for protecting his daughters. On the other hand, in the movie Papanasan, which is the Tamil version in which Kamal Haasan is starring, Kamal Haasan made the character look as a person who's very humble and down to earth, and he makes the character feel as though he's super guilty, and which is not wrong. These are just two different takes, and I would prefer Mohanlal's character more because he made it look as if he wasn't guilty for what he did. Because I genuinely feel like if somebody is standing up for your family, then you better do it wholeheartedly, right? And anyways, let's not digress from the topic. What I want to say is that Drishyam 2 is 6 years apart from what the original plot was set, from where the original plot was set. Now in Drishyam 2, George Kuti has grown in his life too. He has, he's an owner of a theater right now, and his neighbors are really not that happy with his success and growth because they still believe that he is the one who killed Varun, and hence Mohanlal buries him and all of that sort. If you haven't watched the movie, please go and watch it because I really don't want to like spoil it and make this into a very long video wherein I'm explaining the plot, because it's a review video and I want to stick to that. Now, what I genuinely felt is that the characters played by Mohanlal and Rani in this, by Meena, who was playing the character of Rani, Mohanlal's wife, were on spot. It was literally impeccable. There was nothing that I could point out that it didn't work well with the plot or it didn't make sense. But what I genuinely feel is that the movie could have been a little less expositional, because I feel like it was so annoyingly expositional after a point. Things were getting repetitive every now and then because they were expounding things, they were explaining things which needn't be explained every now and then. I feel like there was some sort of weird slow narrative in the beginning. So that was the only negative that I personally found. And I also saw a few other review videos, and I genuinely thought this was the only issue that even they spoke about, because the whole movie was so well written. And for me, Drishyam is not a director's movie. It's not a director's delight. It's not a cinematic delight, but it's a writer's movie. Drishyam is the writer's movie because it has a particular narrative to it. It is very well written and it goes step by step, plot by plot, with no sort of apprehensions. And also there were so many off movements in this movie that you literally drop your jaws every now and then. Because, I mean, a spoiler alert, but I have to mention this. When they reveal that he was so smart with plotting this whole plan by approaching this this writer, this cinematic writer in Chennai, and wooing him into this fabric of his own universe, and not letting him know as to what's happening, and at the same time playing it safe, and having this facade of making a movie and trying to protect his family at the same time, and making sure that he knows everything about what forensic people do to a body when they find one, and how everyone goes about the whole procedure. It was just amazing. And I can say that when they were writing the story, they did their research, because in one of Mohanlal's interviews with Anupama Chopra, he said that he took 6 to 7 years for the first movie, and he did the same with the second movie too. I think it's been 7 years or 8 years since the last movie released, and he took his time with weaving this plot, writing down the story, and taking this time because they wanted it to be impeccable and immaculate, with no sort of any issue that could be pointed out. And I felt like, even though there were certain elements that was distracting me every now and then, because like I said, it was annoyingly expositional. They had to explain themselves again and again for certain reasons, and I felt, right, this has happened, but you have to move on. And I felt like they were just repeating certain aspects of the movie again and again, which was kind of annoying, because we've watched the first movie, and the very fact that we're watching the second movie, they should consider the viewers to have watched the first movie, right? And that is how they should go about it. But I feel like the way they were explaining it again and again was a bit of a drag. But I would say that it is in a way a positive thing too, because for a lot of cinematically illiterate people, I'm really sorry if I'm offending anyone, but by that term I mean for people who do not understand cinema so well, or do not comprehend plots so well, or comprehend plots very quickly, I would say that this movie is very viewer friendly in that sense. And I do feel that with the way they went about it, it was very well structured in that sense, and there was no such flaw that I could point out. But the very fact that, like it mentioned, they took 6 to 7 years to get done with this plot, and considering the fact that there was a pandemic in between, they took more time to more time with the color grading, editing, and post production, and the post production unit getting some extra leeway. I feel like this movie has come out to be as an amazing final product. And there are certain moments, like I said, which put me in awe, or certain jaw-dropping moments where, such as the one in which there are these two undercover cops living right next to them, neighbors, acting as neighbors, kind of acting as a bait for them to reveal certain things, was amazing, because I never saw that coming in the beginning. But after a point, I would say that the wife was a bit conspicuous. The wife was acting a bit fishy, because it became a bit predictable after a point because of that particular thing. But I think the acting was on point from their side too. And I feel like at the end, when he hands over certain remains of their son, I feel like that was a bit unacceptable by me, because I know that he sends a note in which he hasn't signed anything, but they can actually pretty much use it against him as an evidence. And obviously they ended the movie right there, so we don't have any clue as to what they're going to do, or how are they going to go about this. But all I can say is that there is a high possibility that there could be another movie, because the director did say that. And I also had this conversation with Mitesh, my other teammate, and we were just talking about how the director said that he is not obliged to make another movie, but if he wants to do it, he has set up or given himself a head start to go ahead and do a Drishyam 3 too. And trust me, I'm definitely up for it. I can watch it, because I feel like if Drishyam 1 was here, Drishyam 2 definitely bettered or bested. I would use the word bested the first part, because usually the sequels are not as good as the first part or the prequels, but this time the sequel kind of outdid what the first part could have done. And for that, kudos to the writers, kudos to the team, and kudos to Amazon for selecting this movie and taking that risk at their own hands. But I wish if this would have released at a time when things were better, because we all could have watched this at the theater and experienced the suspense or thrill that the movie gave, or the adrenaline rush the movie gave. But like I said, it's not a cinematic delight. It's not a movie that you watch for cinematography or a director's caliber. You watch this movie from a writer's perspective, from a suspense perspective, from a person who loves thriller dramas, from a perspective of a person who loves thriller dramas. And yes, there are I saw a lot of reviews which complain about Mohanlal not doing much, but I genuinely feel he did what was enough and sufficient for the movie. And a lot of people were commenting that Meena was kind of overacting or being a bit fussy in the role, but I feel like that is exactly how anyone would behave, and she pretty much portrayed the Indian housewife. I'm not being judgmental, but I feel like she portrayed that role very well, in the most appropriate manner and in the most respectable manner, because she wasn't weak, but at the same time she was caring and compassionate about her family, about her husband, about her daughters, and about what people would think about her and others. And she gets to know about these rumors, and yet she keeps herself intact, and that is what I liked about her. And this movie as a whole, I would like to give 7.8 to 8.2 out of 10. I could be giving this a bit more, but like I said, if the narrative was a bit better and if it was a little less expositional, I would have definitely given it a 9, a solid 9. But I feel like the movie has probably been one of the best things that has happened to us post the lockdown, post the COVID-19 pandemic craze that is just kind of fading away, and hope things get better and we get to go to the cinemas again and watch movies and enjoy it together like always. And if you would ask me whether to watch this movie or not, I would definitely say give this a solid yes. You should watch it. And yes, that's pretty much it from my side. And I genuinely feel that this is going to go down in the history of Indian cinema or Malayalam cinema or South Indian film industry as one of the best movies to have ever been made, or one of the best thriller dramas or crime dramas to have ever been made. Thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe, and do give your opinions in the comment section, and share this as much as you can, guys, because your support means a lot to us. Thank you, love you, bye bye, and have an amazing day. Thank you.